There's a new moon in Leo, July 24th, 2025, but it's not just that day. It's not just the day that it happens. It starts a cycle, a series of events. And the first one we're going to notice is in 6 months when we have the full moon in Leo. What we need to know right now is what kind of seeds are being set. What is this intention that's going on? How can we work alongside of it? Because it's a longer story. There's so many long stories going on all the time, but this makes it a little easier for us to pinpoint with a new moon because it's very obviously a new beginning. Now, Leo, what is it? Well, it's the place where we have confidence, creativity, charisma, lots of C words, being ourselves, shining a light, star power. No matter where it is in your chart, you have a Leo part of you that gets activated. And wherever the new moon is happening, whatever house it is in your chart, that's where something fresh is being asked to till the soil so something new can bloom in that area. Leo's been a hot spot in 2025. Mars retrograde there. We have Mercury retrograde there right now. And as we speak, there is an opposition to Pluto of Sun, Moon. Sun, Moon, Pluto is getting a direct opposition, 2 degrees to 2 degrees. Couldn't be more direct. The sun has just entered, the moon has just entered Leo. The sun is in domicile in Leo, which means that's a place where it's very comfortable. It's his home sign. It's the only one the sun has. And that makes it more powerful. Now, Pluto in Aquarius. Who do you think you are? That's Pluto's attitude when it faces off from the sun. The way I think about it is Pluto's so far away from the sun that you could stand on the surface of Pluto and just look straight at the sun. You know, on Earth we can't, obviously we'll go blind, but on Pluto you can. Just look straight in the eye and give it the rundown like, hey, I know what you're doing. I'm looking at you. Who do you think you are, big guy? And there's other stuff happening. We also have Mars getting a square with Venus. Mars has just come into the South Node zone in Virgo. So if you're feeling like releasing a lot of things, getting rid of stuff, organizing, that could be really powerful right now. And the square coming from Gemini and Venus adding into this energy. Venus and Gemini just like wants to know all the things, kind of like going to a museum with somebody that just loves museums and wants to look at every exhibit, read every little placard and contemplate it, do a Google search on it. And Mars and Virgo's like, oh my, we're never going to get through this museum if you do not, like, come on, pick one thing. Let's go into detail on the one thing. We don't need to know everything about, anyway, that's kind of what's happening there. On top of that, we have some other things that are kind of lovely. So the lovely things are the trines and the sextiles. So the moon and the sun in this new moon are getting a trine, which is a very supportive energy from going in reverse Saturn and Neptune in Aries. I'm going to explain what all this means, but I'm just kind of giving you the heads up of what's kind of going on here. So let's break it down. I think one of the more important things to realize is a lot of the planets right now are in retrograde. Having this be the new moon in Leo with the energy of Pluto. Aquarius is not personal at all. It's for the collective. And that means it's the opposite in Leo, that it's very personal. It's very specific. It's that individual thing that we have that shines out to make the collective a better place. They're on different sides of the same spectrum. So Pluto, what's the deal with Pluto? Pluto, I'm going to look at Ren Butler's book, The Archetypal Universe. The principles of Pluto are to process breakdown, destruction, creation in the universe, impulses towards regeneration and transformation, purification and purging, profound evolutionary forces. Okay, put that with the sun and moon, the new moon. That means with the retrograde and the Mars retrograde had been there, there's something that we're processing and we need to purge. Mars in Virgo with the South Node as well. Personally, I've been feeling so introverty, which is weird because, you know, we have a Leo moment. The Leo moment with the new moon in Leo should be very expressive and shining out. It depends on where it is in your chart, but if you're feeling more introspective and introverty, that's why. It's because Mercury is there. It's having us rethink what has been processed in this year of 2025 for you so far. And Pluto in the opposition adds to it. There's a tug of war of a kind, but an opposition is actually a secret. Opposition appears to be one thing, but it actually means something else. It's not necessarily a tug of war. It's just asking us to take two things that don't necessarily go together and making them kind of get along, to see the reality that they're the same thing on different sides of a spectrum. There's some revelation with Pluto in Aquarius. It's a rational revolution and revelation of truth. Something's coming out in a collective way, but depending on where it is in your chart, it's still going to come through in a part of your life that will oppose that star power, that charisma, will make you start thinking things backwards. Now, the other thing that can be happening is a lot of RE things because of the retrograde of Mercury in the same space. So if you have been wanting to clean things out, oftentimes we have to look through our things and face something from our past. That's what Pluto could be doing as well. Pluto could be showing us some secret version of us that we don't remember. You know, it's a hidden thing that comes back to the surface. Now the sun, the moon, Saturn, and Neptune, they're connecting from Aries. That brings that beautiful trine, fire energy. Aries is independence, it's individuality, and so is Leo. All the fire things are. They really have to do with our forward action, our motion to express something. Has to be fiery, has to have a lot of fuel to fire it as well. And so there are individual dreams and discipline that's part of this. So maybe we're facing something in a collective and we have to look more to our individuality, our individuation path. I do journaling this year especially, and started in 2024, a subconscious journaling where I ask questions and then later on get into a state where I can negate myself or whatever and answer those questions from somewhere that's beyond me. And I tend to ask the same questions, which indicates that that's me. And the answers are always very, very interesting and not me. I mean, it is a part of me as well, obviously, but it's a flow from something that's the spiritual part, not necessarily this material, dense version, my incarnation. And what it keeps telling me is that we need to understand ourselves. We have to make it personal. The individuation path is always the most basic answer. Everything will come back to equilibrium. Think about temperature. Like if you heat something up on the stove, if you leave it out for a certain amount of time, it'll become room temperature. If you take something out of the freezer, leave it out for a certain amount of time, equilibrates to the room temperature. Everything will go back to some sort of balance at some point. But in the meantime, we go through these flows, through these energetics, these ideas and thoughts. And that's why I love astrology, because I couldn't quite figure out, I'm like, why am I so introverted? Why do I just want to be introspective and think about things? Looking back in my journals, looking back at these things. And that's why. So we're going to look at Sun, Moon, and Pluto in Ren Butler. Now, an opposition is considered a challenging aspect. However, my belief is, since it's of the nature of Saturn, Saturn is the king of feigned appearances, where it appears difficult at first, but it will release us into something positive. I'm going to read all of it. An intense and primal nature, feelings of empowerment and potential, a capacity for profound emotional and physical healing, wholehearted effects to transform oneself, a proneness to driving obsessions and compulsions, ongoing emotional reactivity, determined attempts to change others rather than oneself. Okay? All that's potential right now. It's seeded into this new moon in Leo. You can see how it could go either direction with this, depending on how you react to it, how everything's come. So my personal experience lately has been, my son decided to clean out the shed, and in the shed I have my boxes of memorabilia, journals, and mostly a lot of photos and things like that. It's stuff that you just, I don't know, it's stuff that you don't want to look at that often. And when somebody kind of forces it onto you, like he wanted me to go through it, and I didn't want to, I really didn't. And so I acquiesced. I took all these boxes into my space. There's stuff in this pile of pictures that are long forgotten memories, that there's still a spark of them. Like, it's just amazing what's really all inside of our brain. It's all in there. Sometimes you need a spark of something to remember. Like, I would never remember this moment without a picture. I remember being at Universal Studios in front of the car from Back to the Future. And this was, maybe 1986 or 87. I would not remember that at all without that picture. But then I start thinking, like, looking at other things, some of the things I've written and some of the things, that trail of who you were, who I was, to where I am now, sometimes that is hard to look at because I don't recognize that person. That's a version of me that doesn't exist anymore. And I'm wondering, what's the value of keeping that? And the value is, yes, it brings you back to a time and place that maybe is painful or hard or difficult or beautiful. And then it's even worse sometimes because you feel melancholy and nostalgia and you want to go back or whatever. And the best thing to do is to be focused in the moment we're in and not be lost in those moments of the past or projection into the future. However, the reality that comes from retrospective, looking at things from your past, that it shows you how far you've come. That's a good thing. That's a benefit. That's a resource. And it also shows the reality that we like to gloss over. When we bring up a memory, it's corrupted every single time we bring it up because it goes back in with a new flavor on top of it. So it's corrupted. So seeing some of the things made me feel uncomfortable in a way, but it also showed me that I've grown a lot. And holding on to the past version of ourselves, they don't exist anymore. And it's liberating. It's kind of beautiful. And it's hard at the same time. Next, let's look at the Sabian symbol. This one is Leo 3 because this new moon happens on Leo 2 and you always got to bump it up one. It's funny on James Burgess' site, jamesburgess.com. He has all the Sabian symbols with a lot of different analysis. But he has his own version of it and then Rudyard's. So the modern version of it is a woman having her hair bobbed. And Rudyard's version is a middle-aged woman, her hair long, flowing over her shoulders in a braless, youthful garment. And the idea here is refusal to conform to inappropriate rules. Some of society's constraints are life-denying and are to be resisted by those who claim freedom of expression, doing our own thing in our own way. The woman having her hair bobbed, it goes back to like the 1920s when women went from long Victorian hairstyles to that flapper style, the bob. Women were being liberated from whatever it was socially, culturally, of doing things in a way that conformity. And so this is a refusal to conform in this degree, but at the same time, I think this goes along with release, kind of what I've been saying, releasing that old version of yourself and doing whatever you want. At some point it happens in middle age. It's Uranus opposition, most likely for anybody, man, woman, otherwise, whatever it is. We come to this point and the transits are for everybody around the same age. One of the big ones is that Uranus opposition where you start getting more authentic, where you just really could care less. Well, I'm going to wear my hair in a bob. I don't care. Or I'm going to quit this job. Or I'm going to write that book. Or I'm going to go to wherever you want to go and just don't really care anymore because that's what's being authentically called to you. This is the youth of Leo. Leo is childlike wonder. And no matter what our age is, we can always return to that. So the complication there, I'm looking at my pictures, right? I remember this too. This was at Disneyland. I was like 5 years old probably. I mean, I can get back, look at this picture and this is my dad. I can look at that picture and remember my mom taking it and being so nervous that she wasn't going to make the train. She was going to get left behind. And I can feel that now looking at that picture. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that kid. It was part of me. It was part of my life. But I can go back to that moment and remember it and see the process, the flowing of time and the meaningfulness and the meaninglessness, coming back to Pluto, that there has to be transformation in life. There has to. You have to go through some death. A woman having bobbed her hair, it's a death to conformity. Authenticity, individuality, individuation, that Leo part of us that builds a beautiful collective. Taking care of our own gardens, taking care of our own house, taking care of our own body, our own health, our own mental health, our joy, our pleasure, not ignoring any piece of us. Claiming that freedom of being alive, that we have value, that we're important as we are. No need to change. It'll change for us. We'll change. We don't have to force anything. That's another revelation. There's a point of surrender. And that's another thing I'm thinking about. I've been rereading from the first time in a long time. Since I was a kid, it was always my favorite story is The Wizard of Oz. And I just finished rereading it. 4 characters, they all want something desperately. Desperately. I'm going to get emotional. I'm going to try not to, though. Scarecrow wants a brain. The Tin Man wants a heart. So emotional. The lion wants courage, and Dorothy wants to go home. But when you read the book, you realize the whole time that Scarecrow had a brain. He knew all the answers. And the Tin Woodsman is so sweet and loving, and he has had a heart the whole time. And the lion does a million courageous things. And Dorothy could have gone home the whole time because home is here, it's inside. So, gosh. Refusal to conform. Refusal to conform. What's the point of this, and why am I emotional? Because we have everything we need. It's all there. Everything we need to know about ourselves. Everything we need to accept about ourselves. The good, the bad, the ugly, the otherwise. It's all there. And once we do, we get to a point of authenticity where we're free. You can wear your freaking hair however you want. You don't have to wear a bra. Wear a youthful garment if you want. Be free. Be you. And when you're that way, that's when your Leo shines, man. It's so beautiful. And before we get to that point, we have to go through a lot of experiences, a lot of challenges, and squares and oppositions that lead us to a place of revelation and realization. If you're still here, first of all, thank you. Thank you for your kindness, for your support, being on this journey with me. And if you want to go deeper, I'm doing a membership. It's on YouTube. It's $1.99 a month. We're reading through astrology, karma, and transformation. And it's very Plutonic. It really goes with the theme of this concept of this new moon. Anyway, that book is about the inner dimensions of the birth chart, and we've been working through it. If you want to join, it's never too late. I would love to see you there. I like you just the way you are. I hope you have a beautiful new moon and set some seeds in that area of your life. Contemplate and release a few things for the future. Okay, I'll talk to you next time. This time